MHRA Racer School. Maybe we can just start with around the room, kind of real quick introductions. My name is Dean Sutherland. I'm one of the instructors helping today. I started racing when I was 12 years old in 1984. Mark Mascaric is another one of our key instructors. He'll be down there that you'll meet. It's getting the lake and rig and water portions and boats ready. Alec, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Alec Hutchinson. I started racing 4 years ago with MHRA's Never Ever Racer program. I run an A and 20 hydro.
He's basically our first graduate.
My name is Tracy Trillian, and I've been racing for 17 years and didn't have this kind of stuff when I started.
Want to introduce yourself, sweetie?
I'm Mary.
And Mary is going to be testing today in a J Hydro. And how old are you, Mary?
13.
Okay, great. Danny, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Danielle, and I am going to be 10 here in a few months.
Yep. And you're not going to run today, right? You're just going to go through the classroom portion again.
I'm just
But Danny's already tested once herself. She's kind of getting ready to be ready to race. Spencer? Yep. And Spencer, how old are you?
Gonna be 12 in August.
Cool.
You're on the race through this.
And you've been wanting to race your whole life? Right on, brother.
The top already.
Yeah, my goal is to make sure you leave with some stuff and your dad leaves with some stuff. I've already got some stuff.
Sorry, I got to enter the back of the truck and let you room.
I already got some stuff planned out. That's all right. I got a trailer ready to go that we're going to set right on the back with some rigs.
You know,
You introduce yourself there, right?
I'm Ryan Sutherland.
So this is my son, who's not going to do the lake portion today, but is going through the classroom, kind of getting ready to race next year.
Hi, my name is Logan, and I started racing 2 years ago.
Yep. And Logan races J Hydro. His family got him started, so if you're kind of a generational racer, you might not go through a racer school. But he and Nick, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Nick, and I've been racing for 1.5 years.
Yep. And so they're both pretty experienced J drivers, and so I asked them to come sit through this as well, so that you would be able to meet some names and faces and know these kids. And when we go to the lake portion, they're actually going to go out in the rig that you go out in first, right, and kind of show you how to get on plane and show you some of the concepts we're going to talk about here.
I'm Laura Wheeler, and this is my 6th year of racing. I'm going to be helping out with the in the water part of the race.
Yep, Laura's one of our key instructors. She's just very humble about it.
Okay, I'm Dave Deck. I'm Jack Deck's son here, and I ran his boat 30 years ago, so your first time to try it. So
Great, great. And Mr. Deck?
I'm Jack Deck, and I'm the oldest graduate of the MHRA Racing School,
Great.
and I run Stock Classic.
Carrie, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Kerry. I'm Spencer's dad.
Yeah.
I started racing when I was 12, and the last time I raced here was 1995. I moved up north and have not had the opportunity to get back to boat racing since then. I think the last time I was here was actually 96. I came to race here.
And Kerry actually used to be the Commodore of Michigan Hydroplane Racing Association. He used to run this whole club. So, Spencer, you've got a pretty connected
Yeah, I know.
dad.
My name's Peter Allen. I'm Mary's dad. I'm just kind of helping out around here. I started racing last weekend at Huntington.
Awesome. Good
So
stuff.
I got to go out and run my first race, and here we are.
Great. All right, so here's what the afternoon is going to look like. We're going to go through a bit of a presentation here that'll take about 45 minutes. It's going to cover boat racing, kind of all aspects, starting at the top and then taking the aspects down to moving to the water. Then we will go down to the lake, and we're going to spend about 15 minutes getting in a boat on the beach and kind of beach race. Show you how you would get on plane, how the throttle works, make sure that you're comfortable with what's going to happen when you go out on the water. And then we're going to send you out individually, one at a time, on the water through a little bit shortened course we have out there. And you'll do a few laps. There'll be flags, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And we're going to get you a couple rides. And then if everything goes well and you feel real comfortable, you should get to go out at least twice on your own, probably with a smaller class here. I think we'll be able to get you 3 times out on your own. And then we'll have your last session, if you want to. You can go out and have an instructor who will race a boat next to you, so you can see what it's going to be like to kind of have somebody next to you and kind of simulate racing a little bit. Right? So that's how we'll go through the afternoon. If you have any questions, by the way, I'm a pretty informal presenter. Just stop and let me know what you'd like to know. But I want to start off with what we're trying to do with the school here is educate you and prepare you to be able to race a boat, right? So that if you have a great experience today and you really like this, that you would be ready, Spencer, to bug your dad and say, hey, I want to race tomorrow. And what we're trying to do is make sure you would be ready to race, right? Because there's lots of things that happen on a race course and they happen very quickly, right? And what we want to do is familiarize you with all of those things so that you're ready to race safely, right? And we want you to have a lot of fun today, but you'll hear me say safely a lot, right? Because we want to make sure you get trained the right way so that you can race safely, not only to protect yourself, but to protect your competitors, right? So, to begin with, go ahead, no worries. You know, what does a race consist of, right? You're here and we're racing out outboard hydroplanes. What is a race? We race 2 heats, right? So you go on the water 2 separate occasions, and we call each of those a heat, right? You race against no more than 12 competitors in 1 heat, right? So the maximum amount of boats that we will race around our course is 12. So if 13 or 14 were here, we would run elimination heats to get down to 12 for a final, right? And in your first heat, you will go out and race, and you will finish in a position, right? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way through 12. These are the amount of points we give you for each of those positions. So if you go out and win the first heat, you would receive 400 points, and second place gets 300, and so on. So then you go out and race your second heat, right? And you get a finish and accumulate points. Then we add up all the points from the 2 heats to determine the winner, right? So if you went out and won heat 1 and won heat 2, you'd have 800 points, right? Okay. Or if you had got first and you had got third, you'd have 625, right? Now what do we do when we tie?
You go on time.
Very good, Nick. You go on time. Because it might be really easy to tie, right? You might go out the first heat and get first, and Spencer might get second. You might go out the second heat and flip-flop those exactly. You get second, he gets first. Matter of fact, it happens kind of quite often, especially at a local level when you only have 6 or 7 boats. It's kind of easy to swap. So then you would both be tied on points, right? You both have 700 points, which I had to, even after 25 years, glance and look at. You both have 700 points. Then we keep time for how fast your first place was and your second place, how fast your first and second was. You add up both of your individual times, and the fastest time wins. And that's how we determine the winner of the race. So the race consists of 2 heats where you're awarded points. Right? Okay, so how do we race? What happens in a heat? We race an oval track, right? And we race counterclockwise. Matter of fact, these boats, and we're going to talk about this more specifically later, do not like to turn right. They're set up and built specifically to turn much, much better to the left than they are to the right. In some extreme cases, boats won't turn right at all. They'll spit you out almost before they want to turn you right. Now, what you're racing today won't do that, but you always want to try and make left-hand turns. We only race counterclockwise to the left. So a race is 3 laps, right? It's a sprint race, 3 laps around an oval course. Oops, excuse me, before I cover flags. So how do we start? And we're going to get into this much more specifically in a minute. We have a very unique way to start our race. And in fact, it's kind of the most unique thing I think about outboard racing, but it's the thing that needs to be understood the most because you're not familiar with it. We don't start from a dead stop. We do what's called a flying start with a clock. All right, and we're going to talk about that in a lot greater detail in just a minute. So, when you're on a race course, right, you have a loud engine behind you, you've got a helmet, you can't hear a lot of things, right? The way you communicate on a race course is with your eyes. And there is a ton of communication that happens on the race course, and that's what we're going to talk about next. And it happens visually, right? There are different indicators and signals. And And one of the biggest things we use as signals as to what is going on during the race is flags. Right? And we're going to talk in a minute about where the flags are on the race course, but first I want you to understand what the flags are. Right? So here are the 6 flags that we use that give you information as to what's happening currently during your race. Right? There is a green flag. So when you're sitting on shore getting ready to race, you're waiting for the green flag to go up. When the green flag goes up, that means it is okay to leave and enter the race course for what we call milling. We'll cover that a little bit more in a minute, right? So you enter the race course. A green flag is also displayed when the race starts. So it's got 2 meanings. Leave the pits, and it will also be used when the first lap is underway. Okay? White flag, we talked about that big clock that we're going to go into detail on and how it starts. When the white flag goes up, it means there is 1 minute to the start of the race. So the green flag's up, and then it will go down, and a white flag goes up, and it means you are 1 minute from the start of the race. Okay? The checkered flag, you're probably familiar with, signifies the end of the race. Right? We have a black flag. Black flag has a couple of different meanings. A black flag means the course is closed. Nobody should be racing. Nobody should even be out on the course. So if you are out on the course and you see a black flag, it means return to pits because the course is closed. You know, new technology. I need this just bump. Yeah, every once in a while I just need a bumper touch. Probably I think it's set at 2 minutes right now, and I don't know how to fix it quick. Oh, but you can. Yeah. Sorry. It literally just means touch. So black flag means course is closed. So if you are on the course when the black flag goes up, you know to get off the course, come back to the pits, right? And it also means stay in the pits. If you saw the black flag and you came in, you stay in, right? Until a green flag comes back out, right? If you're the next on the water, all right? Red flag means stop racing. Stop, okay? Red flag means something has happened on the race course and we want you to quit racing, right? Now, it doesn't mean you shut your engine off, but it means the race is stopped and over because something has happened out there. So you don't have to drop off plane, but you slow down. You sit up, you look around and be alert. The race is over. A lot of times a red and a black will be thrown at the same time. The red telling you stop the race, the black saying go back to the pits. Right? So 2 things going on at once. But not always. Sometimes they'll just throw the red. Right? But red flag means stop racing. Something has happened. A blue and white flag, and this one is very unique to our form of racing. It literally looks just like this. It'll be half blue, half white. Means caution. Doesn't mean stop racing. You can continue racing, but race with caution because there's a problem on the race course. A lot of times somebody might just die. Their engine quits, right? Or maybe they fell out, but they're in a really safe position, right? We feel it's safe to continue racing. Or sometimes they spin out and die. It means race with caution, right? And typically if you see a blue and white, especially when you come into the turns, you really want to be looking at that turn. And as much as I say this, it sounds like, well, of course I'd be looking at the turn. What else would I look at? When you're racing against other people, sometimes you're fixed on them. You're fixed on the person you're trying to pass, or you're fixed on the person that's trying to pass you. And you're really not looking ahead into the turn, right? When you see a blue and white flag, something is a little abnormal on the race course. Keep your eyes open for it. Race with caution. Okay, so a normal heat, the flag sequence would look like this. Okay, a normal heat where we don't have a red, nobody crashed, goes off right. You're sitting in your boat, your crew is holding you, you're waiting for your turn to go. The green flag flies. You leave the pits and you start to mill. And we'll talk about specifically what milling is in a little bit. But basically milling is I'm waiting for the race to begin. Right? Well, we started my motor, I'm out on the race course. That will go for approximately 2 minutes. We'll wait for everybody to get out there. Then we throw the white flag. This clock will start ticking off 1 minute to the start of the race, right? So the white flag will be displayed out there. Now you all start and you cross the start-finish line for the beginning of your first lap. The green flag will go back up, okay? With 1 lap to go, and I think the white flag has 2 meanings too, and I think I missed this. We also use the white flag with 1 lap to go, right? So the green flies for lap 1 and lap 2. With 1 lap to go, when you go by the start-finish line, the white flag will be out, and that means last lap. Then a checkered flag, okay? And then, and they usually say this at the driver's meeting, you don't just pull off the course on the checkered flag. Once in a while you race on a course where you do, and they'll tell you that. But the rule of thumb is you stay on the course. You just continue racing through the checkered flag because other people are finishing behind you. Somebody might even be a lap down and you didn't know it. And if you just pulled right in, you know, if you just went across the start-finish line and tried to turn right or turned immediately left, they might crash into you, right? This. So you race through the start-finish line in a straight line, heading down the course until you see a black flag. Black flag then means time to come off the race course. Okay? That makes sense, what all those flags are? All right, so where do you look for those flags? Where are they at? There are 3 places you're going to look for these flags. And this is really important content I'm giving you right now. This is, I really want you to focus in because even you'll see 25, 30-year veterans that will miss the flags. And it's because they kind of get lazy and didn't develop really good habits, right? The first place you'll always see flags is on the judges' stand where the clock is at, okay? And we'll see that out there on the race course, and we'll talk about it more in a minute. But this is a big 6-foot clock, right? And there will be somebody holding a flag at that clock. That is the first place, or one of the first places you will see flags. The next place you will see flags is in turn 1. We have a patrol boat, right? So there's going to be a boat out here on the race course that will be somewhere inside the buoys. But it won't be way inside the buoys. You got to kind of know it's there, right? It will have flags on there, and they will display flags. Turn 2 is the 3rd place where flags are displayed on a race course, right? And the same thing, in turn 2, we have a patrol boat that will have a couple people on it displaying the flags. The habit you need to get into as a driver is to always check for these flags. And literally, it is a habit, right? So when you start the race, you'll see the white flag, right? And typically, at the start of the race, nothing bad has happened yet. We just started, right? But now you are racing down into turn 1. And a lot's going on. You got people on your inside, you got people on your outside. Before you get to the turn, you want to glance to the boat and check the flag. And I mean, it's just a split-second thing, right? You don't even have to turn your head sometimes. It's just turning your eyes. Look at the flag and then enter the turn, right? Because if you don't, you're not going to get information again until all the way down here, right? And potentially somebody blew over at the start and you didn't see it. It happened behind you. So we could have rescue boats here. We could have rescue boats in maybe rescue boats that took off and left a big wake, right? And if you didn't glance the flag here, you're going to come around that and you could potentially run into it and cause yourself problems. And it is happening, right? So you check the clock. Before you get into the turn and have to start turning, you glance the turn. Check the flag, right? You go through the turn and now you're coming down, same thing then. Right here, you check turn 2 for what the flag is, right? And if you miss 2, you can pick it up again here at the start. So you should be trying to look for the flags 3 times every lap. And it is just a split-second thing, right? It is just a glance. But that glance will save you or it will save other people, and it will definitely make the race go a lot more effectively for the race directors and the committees that are on the judge stand if there is a problem. Right? So 3 times every lap. Both turns, just as you enter the turns, take a look. Right? that's the good spot. Here, here, and then when you're coming out, it's easy to see this one. As much as I preach this and sound like I harp this, sometime this weekend, we'll throw a red and black flag, and the leaders, two guys that have probably raced for 20 years, will race for a lap against each other and not know what happens until they come all the way back around and they see everybody has stopped, right? They will have not looked 3 times.
And the best time, like Dean says, to look when you're going down the straightaway, towards the end of the straightaway. Because when you're looking forward, all you have to do is just glance off to your left. Once you're in the turn, sometimes you're focusing on turning. So
Yeah.
it's easier when you're going down the straightaway towards the end of the straightaway to look at it.
The reason those veterans guys do it is not completely carelessness. It's they're racing each other. It's so easy to get focused on other things, right? And racing, especially being a good racer, is learning how to focus on all of the data, right? And it's coming at you really fast. And learning how to focus on the flags, key part, right? So what does a course look like? What other things are out there? We talked about the turn 1 boat and the turn 2 boat. We talked a little bit about the clock, right? And the clock is the start-finish line. So there'll be 2 buoys, right, for your chute on the start-finish line. There's also typically a pickup boat, and there's always 2 safety boats, right? So there's a lot of things in that lake, right? And you don't want to be the person that hits a patrol boat. It just sticks with you. So there are 5 boats that should all be in the center of the course, right? 1 in each turn, flying flags, and making sure people are following the rules of racing. 2 rescue boats and a pickup boat, right? Your turn buoys, your start-finish line, your clock, which is typically going to have your judges stand as well. And then we have these things called outside course markers. And these can vary from course to course, lake to lake. These are buoys that you never go outside of, right? You always keep those buoys to your right. Now, we're going to start talking about starting and milling and things of this nature. So this is what the course looks like. You kind of want to burn this image into your mind a little bit. Talked about the start-finish line. The last buoy in the second turn, a lot of times is called the 500-foot buoy, and the start of the chute. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Another buoy that may or may not be out there, and at the driver's meeting that you go to every morning, they cover the course and whether this is here or not, is a 1,000-foot buoy, right? And this is just key for your starting. 1,000-foot, a 500-foot, and it's your start-finish line, okay? So, and we're going to come back and cover starting in much greater detail. So when that green flag flies, boats enter the course, right? And we're going to start milling, right? So everybody's lined up basically waiting to go out on the course. The green flag goes up. People start your engine. Try not to hit each other. Sounds silly, but once in a while that happens. You're so focused on getting on plane, right? And we'll cover that in a minute, that you might not pay attention to somebody running right across the front of you and bump into them. But so once you start your engine, you've got to get the boat on plane. Initially, when you started out a kneel down hydro or runabout, it doesn't just pop right to top speed. It plows the water for a little while until the prop gets up on top. They call that getting on plane. Literally, that propeller starts buried and it pulls itself to the top of the water, and then it starts going much, much faster, right? You know when you get on plane, you feel it. It's the difference between going 10 miles an hour and going about 30, and it happens like pretty quick. It sounds much scarier than it really is. Pretty easy thing to go over, but we'll go over it, okay? Typically though, when that green flag flies, you and your other competitors are going to go and you're going to get on plane. Almost all the time we ask you to get on plane going towards the first turn, right? So this rectangle right here, that's the area where you're going to get your boat on plane, right? And why do we want you to go that way and not just straight this way or straight this way? When you get on plane, it leaves a big roller, right? A big shallow wave in the water. And that wave dissipates, right? If you go this direction, those waves go like this, and they leave the starting chute clean. If you go straight out perpendicular, they dissipate in this direction, and you might have to go over rough water, right? But, kind of thing to know, as much as we usually tell you to do this, this isn't a rule. And sometimes, somebody's having engine problems, and they finally, and you're out here milling, because all your milling happens up here at the top of turn 2, off the race course, right? Most of the time, or in this area. And you're waiting for this guy to get started, and he finally gets started. Instead of doing this, he's going to shoot right out like this immediately. And now they throw the white flag, because we've already waited for you for 3 minutes, right? Be aware, as somebody that was milling out there are big waves going like this, because you're about to come around and start out, right? And these little things, I mean, we're throwing a lot at you. For what we're doing today, you don't have to remember necessarily any of this stuff, but this is all important stuff and things that we would want to be teaching you and your mentors telling you, because you're going to hit those. And our boats are set up to run on pretty smooth water. When you come up and hit rollers, things happen. So you need to be looking for the water conditions, right? Boat racing is very different than car racing in the fact that asphalt doesn't change. The course is the same as on lap 20 as it was on lap 1. Our course changes every 25 yards, right? Everything changes. So you actually have to be looking, scanning, figuring it out. Is it rough? Am I going into the wind? Am I not going into the wind? Are there rollers or they're not rollers? All that's information you want to be taking in. Okay. Getting on a plane, what we just kind of covered and how you plane your boat. To begin with, you just lean forward. And this is what we're going to cover on the beach for a little bit before we send you on the water. But they're kneel down hydros. You're on your knees, right? So that your body weight can affect the attitude of the boat. When you get on plane, this propeller is trying to get to the top of the water. So what you need to do to help it is get all of your weight forward. You lighten up the back, and the propeller comes up and jumps on top of the water. And then once you're on plane, then you can slide all your weight to the back, right? Okay. So where do we mill on the race course? I covered this in a minute. The green flag would fly. You go to the top of turn 2. You get on plane in this area like we covered. You go around turn 1. You come down the back stretch, and typically you're just going 3/4 throttle. You know, you don't have to go crazy. Right? You're still a little bit relaxed. You come down, and your milling happens in this area, right? You're doing circles. Now, all of you are doing counterclockwise circles. By all of you, I mean all your competitors out there. How many there are? 6, 8, 10, maximum 12. You're all doing different circles, right? You really need to be looking around, and you never want to turn left without looking left, because you might turn right into somebody else that's running a different circle, right? Because in essence, what's happening is if that's the turn, right? Several of you, somebody is out there doing big circles like this. Somebody else is out there doing circles like this. Somebody else wants to start in a different way and is doing kind of a triangular circle thing like that, right? If there's 12 of you doing that all over the place, it's just a lot going on. Now, I'm making it sound harder than it is. I'm being a little more extreme about it to make the point. You never, ever turn left. Never turn left before you've looked left, right? Now, because we don't turn right, you shouldn't be having to worry about your right as much. But you never turn left without checking left. And when you're milling, look around, because everybody is doing different things.
Your head should always be moving.
Yeah, your head's on a swivel. It's kind of the thing. You're always but you're also watching the flags, right? So you might say, well, of course I'd be looking around. What else am I going to be looking at? Well, you're looking at the flags. You're looking at that guy that you think is going to be your biggest competition, and where is he at? Where are his circles? It's really easy to lose track of the simplest thing, like where is everybody else? And once a season, people will crash into each other milling, right? And you're like, how does that happen? Because they're paying attention to all the other data and skipping the simplest thing, like I better not hit anybody. All right, that covers milling. Now we got to talk about starting, and we're almost done here. I know you want to get to the good stuff, but this is kind of the important pieces, right? It doesn't seem like you just want to go for a ride. It'll be a fun ride, but I want you to go for a ride, and then tomorrow I want you to want to race. And if we skip any of this stuff right now, and you have a bad experience racing, then you won't want to do it anymore, right? So we talked about a 1,000-foot buoy, a 500-foot buoy in the start-finish line, and the white flag, right? So the white flag goes up, and getting some bad sequence. And a clock that literally looks like this. And we'll see it. No, we won't see it down there.
Not today.
Not today. Literally, it is a 6-foot piece of plywood, about 6 by 5, that has a big orange face that has a big hand on it. When that white flag goes up, that hand starts sweeping around. Right?
Just like that. 60 seconds.
Yeah, 60 seconds to the start of the race. Okay, so what happens then? So when that white flag goes up, suddenly everybody that's making all of these circles all over the place, all the circles start to come together. Right? Because everybody starts to sort of line up and choose the lane they want to be in. And they're coming around for the start of the race. You cannot cross, you're not supposed to cross, the start-finish line until that clock ticked off that final second. If you do, if you cross the start-finish line before that clock ticked off that final second, it's called jumping the gun. You're disqualified. All right, we'll cover that a little bit more in a second. The key part here is suddenly everybody goes from doing circles everywhere to start, everybody kind of wants to be in the same spot, right? So we put rules in place to keep us from running over each other, right? And the rules, yeah, let me hit this one for you. So suddenly we all want to be in the same place. Sometimes there is a 1,000-foot buoy where they say you have to go around the 1,000-foot buoy to make a start, which means all of us, no matter somebody milling here and somebody milling here, everybody has to go around that buoy to start. Okay? Now some courses don't have that. Some don't have a 1,000-foot, in which case the last pin in the turn, does anybody remember what that was called? 500-foot buoy, right. In which case the 500-foot buoy. Yep, yep.
Will there be a 1,000-foot buoy in this course?
Yes.
The one?
Yes. Yes. We run a 1,000-foot. No. We have and haven't.
No, we are.
We're not.
I
No.
don't think so.
But like Nick's question, because he's already starting to think about racing tomorrow. Every day of racing, and typically Saturday is an independent day from Sunday, so you race twice, 2 heats on Saturday, 2 heats on Sunday, and those are 2 separate races. Each day has a driver's meeting. First thing happens in the morning, tomorrow morning, is we'll all come up here and we'll talk about the specific rules to this course. One of the things we'll tell you is whether there's a 1,000-foot buoy or not.
I don't think there is.
And I don't think there is here.
Grass like this.
But Grass Lake there is, Dayton there is. Some courses there are, some courses there aren't. If there is, we've told you that, and everybody has to round it. So you'd come way up here, and everybody would come around here, right? If there's not one, then what people say is you have to go around all the pins in the turn, right? So you come around like this. And when I say you have to go around all the pins in the turn, somebody will screw that up, because what you have to do, whoops. So if this is the turn, and there is no 1,000-foot buoy, There's your 500-foot buoy. But what they'll say is, to make a legal start, you have to round all the buoys in the second turn. That means when you come around for the clock, you have to keep them all to your left, right? Seems like it should be obvious and easy to do, but somebody will end up doing this, because everybody's running circles in different ways. Somebody will end up doing that, or end up doing that, right? Now, they didn't keep those two buoys to their left. They didn't round those two buoys. They would be disqualified, right? They would be out. And that's why we have guys in in those patrol boats making sure that you've gone around all those buoys and made a legal start. All right. Yep. So, and this is key safety stuff right here. The chute, the starting chute, right? The starting chute is this imaginary rectangle that starts from the 500-foot buoy, which is usually 99% of the time the last pin in the turn, and they would tell you that at the driver's meeting, to the start-finish line, okay? And it's to the outside course marker, and theoretically to the outside course marker here, except a lot of times there won't be one there. So it's this imaginary rectangle that's called the chute. You must maintain a straight line in the chute. Once you enter the chute, whether it was by coming around here or whether you had to come around here, you have to go in a straight line parallel to the starting line, right? This is crazy key. You cannot turn left in the chute, right? And this is a big rookie. It happens sometimes. You kind of lose your mind out there for a second and you screwed up. And you got into the chute way too early. Like you should have been here, like the run to the clock was 9 seconds. Like from here to here would only take 9 seconds, but you got in here at like 30 seconds. And you're flopping along, right? And then suddenly you decide, I just shouldn't have done it this way. I'm gonna turn left and I'm gonna go all the way back around. You cannot do that. And don't do that. It would be better to just jump the gun. It would be better to do anything but to do that, right? Because what happened is all those other guys, they're coming around and they're coming fast. And once you're in the chute, they're expecting, it's a rule, you go in a straight line. Do not deviate, right? With 30 seconds left. So if you do, bad things can happen, right? Does that make sense? Now, as much as I said that, I don't want to confuse you. Before the white flag goes up, right, when we're on the green flag and we're just milling, well, shoot. Then, if you haven't been told you can't, you can go through the chute, right? But with 30 seconds or less and you enter the chute, straight line.
It's not just turning, but you don't want to be going in an angle either.
Yeah, Nick?
Also, when you enter the chute, and if you know you're a little early, you're allowed to just slow down.
Yep, just slow down. But don't, it sounds silly, but we've all seen it happen. And when you're on the judge's stand and you see it happen, you cringe because it's scary, right? Because people are coming behind you. Again, to kind of illustrate, so that's the turn right here is the turn, right? There's the last pin in the turn. This is the starting chute. Here's the clock, right? If you have to maintain a straight line like this. Every once in a while you'll see somebody come around this turn and they kind of go like this, right? Well, other competitors are coming like this, and lots of them are coming all at the same time. And if you cut in front of them, right, that's why these rules and the chute and to be in a straight line. This is the most dangerous area of a stock outboard race, like where the worst things could happen. Do you have a question, Spencer? No? You sure? You can ask anything. There's no silly question.
No.
Okay. Nick, did you have something? Okay. And that's That's the chute. The start-finish line, 500-foot buoy, which is typically the last minute turn. Once you enter there with 30 seconds left, a straight line no matter what. Okay? I think we just covered that. Okay, straight line. Okay, you must maintain a straight line in the starting chute. Can't say it enough times, right? Because here's a start. This is what it looks like. That many people. And potentially they're all going different speeds. Because to get on the inside, you had to come around slow. If you're on the outside, you're coming fast. You're all going kind of different, but you all converge. You all come to the start-finish line at almost like the exact same time. So there's a lot going on. Be an extreme to make the point. If 6CE suddenly decided to turn left, you could see what would happen, right? Guys would just come down into it. All right. Now, we talked about a good start. The second hand on the clock ticks off that last second. And we have a video recorder that is videoing this start, and a light goes off. The second that happens, a light goes off. And we recorded it all, so we can go back and look at it frame by frame by frame, right? You have to be behind the start-finish line when the clock ticks off that final second, right? So this is a good start. Everybody, if the buoy is over here, everybody is behind the line. Okay, here's the exact same thing, and this is called jumping the gun, and it will disqualify you. You just get 0 for that heat. The next heat, if you jump the gun in heat 1, you can still race in heat 2 and get points. Or you might have points from heat 1 and you jump the gun in heat 2 and you get a 0, right? So in this start right here, you can see the second hand is ticked off the final second perfectly, but there are 2 boats, right? This boat and 11F. And even though he's only over by that much, that's the difference, right? And if there is skill to being a good driver in this sport, and there is, this is 75% of the skill, is getting a good start, right? Because a good start, at 60 miles an hour, you're moving 88 feet every 1 second, right? And that's going 60. And most of our classes, the majority of them, go a little faster than 60. So you're covering between 90 and 100 feet per second, right? Most of the good starters will hit this start within 10 feet, right? Call it 20 feet even. 3-4 boat lengths, 20 feet. 20 feet is about a quarter of a second, right? Even a little less. It's tenths of seconds. And the skill in this sport is to be able to hit that good start consistently, over and over and over. Martin Mascaric has won more hydroplane national championships than any other stock outboard racer ever. I've literally tried to keep track. He's a great starter. He probably hits 7 out of 10. And out of that 7 out of 10, even the 3 he misses are still pretty good. I hit maybe 5 to 6. And I'm not a slouch, right? As a new person, you can't focus as much on the racing and the winning. Your first goals have to be, can I start well? Because it is a skill, and it is hard to do, and you just don't go out there and do it, right? Matter of fact, as a new person, if you can hit 1 out of 10 to begin with, you know, it's hard to do. And sometimes you'll go out and you'll hit a couple. One of our last Racer School people, Stephen Licious, at his first race, he hit 2 out of 4 pretty dang good, and he thought it was easy. It was the last race of the year at Big Rapids, and he hit 2 out of 4 starts good, and was like, this sport is easy. He hasn't hit one yet this year that's been worth, 10 points. It's hard to do. Right? All right. That's it, right? That's it. We're back. Yeah, that's just it. All right. That kind of concludes. Is there any questions? Yes, Carrie.
Comment.
Yes.
About getting hit when you're milling.
Yes.
True story. Very first boat race. I was 12 years old and started Trenton, Michigan in a marathon. Kind of 25 runabout ran into McMillan. He sunk. I did. And I was a rookie, and I was like, I'm turning, I'm minding my own business, and I look, and here comes this guy hopping, hit me like this. And like, he's gonna hit me. Wham! Hits me. Put
Yes.
The very first.
So when you guys have your first boat race, if you have your first boat race, if you like what happens here at Racer School, you say, I want to race, we do a couple things for a rookie. Put a big, huge white stripe, X, not stripe, excuse me. Put a big, huge white X on your helmet.
I saw that last year.
Yeah, that tells everybody else that's out there, that person's a rookie, so they might do something a little flaky, right? Now, you guys won't, because you went through Racer School.
A couple years ago, I saw a hydro hit a wave and it went up like this.
Can
So
happen.
I carried on the boat.
It can happen. Yep.
Last race in Huntington, I got to ride one of the first turn boat for a long fly.
Oh, you got to sit through the first
Yeah.
one? You would be welcome to do that
I
here
was
too.
doing the flags.
Yep,
In
we
the
would
turn.
love to have you flag. Matter of fact,
It was fun.
I'm not sure what your plans are for the weekend, but after today, you know, if you are back here tomorrow, a great thing to do is to go out in a patrol boat and watch people turning firsthand, right? Maybe do a little bit more testing at the end of the day, and maybe you're ready to race on Sunday. Maybe we find something for you. And I'm spending so much time milling, and Nick, that was a great point, right? Nick last year was in a big J race. I'm overdoing the milling a little bit because with the J's, especially, which is where you guys probably would be starting, maybe AX, but even with AX in the J category, the toughest part, or the highest risk on the race course is milling. Kids, and it seems like the J's are hard to get on planes, some of them, so sometimes you mill for a long time. And for whatever reason, J's, the longer they mill, kind of the smaller circles, the more they start to pack up together. And just what happened to Nick, right? 1 minute he's sitting in the boat, and the next minute he's sitting in the water. Two of them came together. And that's where, especially as a J, look around, always looking around, right? All right, let's go have some fun in the water then. So what we're gonna do now, oh yes, everybody that's going out in the water, right? I think we got 3 people that are going through the water portion, have to see Tracy. There is a little paperwork you have to fill out. What you're filling out is the waiver, and also we are completely insured, and this is your insurance, and so you want to fill that out as well. So come fill out your paperwork, and then
Start the motor for you, so you don't have to reach behind and start it. Down your knees. Push your hand, right? Throttle with this hand, get it with this hand, right? So we're going to have you probably do it about half throttle when we start the motor, okay? About half throttle. Alright? We're going to have you, there will be a kill switch while you're like that. So once you go get on plane, start out about half throttle. Once the boat gets 20 feet or so from shore, full throttle, forward, not comfortable. Well, you shouldn't have to, I'll just run plane release. Just move your way forward. Like you said, you'll hear the engine sound change. It'll be like when it's on plane. Once it's on plane, it's going to start to move back a little bit. Okay? So, we're going to have to send you out towards this 4 buoys, 2 in each turn. In a normal race, there's 4 buoys. We got 2 in each turn. You guys have to take a close to them. You have to make sure you come around them. This one, don't worry about it. Don't, like you said, these boats got 2 on the left side, cockpit set on the left side, controls, don't make sure up here. They're meant to turn left. So you really don't want to turn the boat right, especially going full speed straight line. So if you're coming down the straightaway, and the buoy happens to be on the right, I don't want you to crank the wheel, make a right hand turn. Just go inside it, go on the next one, next lap, let's try to make good circle. Don't turn the boat to the right. Okay? So once you go on straightaway, be comfortable. You don't have to do stretch out all the way, but you get down, squeeze the throttle. So when you come up in a turn, J boat.
Are you out today?
Logan do it. You almost want to put your head out. Make Logan do it. You're like looking at the pin. Hey, where's Ryan? You yourself out. You're going to turn the wheel a little bit. So now once you're coming out, they don't have two, they have one. The wheel down to the right. That's not a right-hand turn. You're straightening the boat out. Hey. So now you're going down the straightaway. Coming up to the turn. Down there. Everything you said before you come to the turn, you notice you do? Throttle and shoot.
Took us like 12 tries just to get myself.
Not anybody else out there to start with.
Yeah, the sock doesn't.
All you have. Come up to the turn, knock off the throttle, look over your shoulder, and then bring out the turn. Now, I'm coming out.
Adam Allen in West Virginia in 1992 put a J runabout on the beach, and he still hears about it.
Excited? Nervous?
Can you turn the steering wheel?
I had to piss my pants.
See, that's the thing. We might even say your dad did it.
I'm worried about saying it and doing it.
Don't worry about it. I left skid marks in Dean Sutherland's.
Whose suit is this?
Alright, so about half throttle.
I left skid marks in Dean Sutherland's suit. That's when I went out.
Nick, where's the knee pads? There's no padding.
There's no padding in it.
Are your knees okay? Alright, for Dave, for 2 laps. He'll go the first time.
Okay.
We'll get you some knee pads. Alright, let's angle him up. So we're
Scoot
gonna
his knees farther forward. Scoot it farther forward. To get on plane.
all the way, almost. All the way. Alright? Pretty far to down front. Just set him over here. Alright? So one jump that way. Jump and you can steer just as big as you're going to the inside. Well, half throttle when we start.
Oh.
Once it up turn, half throttle. Give it a little more. Nice, Spencer. Looking for flags. Trace, you got a radio? Somebody got a radio?
Yeah, there's one up here.
We should have a green flag here too. Channel 68, green flag.
It's turnboat 1, turnboat 2. Can you fly green flag?
Got a green flag?
I don't have a green flag down here. I have a red and black.
How do we get a green flag?
For this one, leave your buns.
Now see, he kind of saw that. He saw that first pin.
I don't know.
There's about a couple bottles of water over here too.
All right, Dave.
She's like, oh my gosh. She's like, does he like
Encourage competition. Let him draw.
I was like, my little boy's growing up so fast. How did he bit me?
First of all, steer up.
Callie bit you?
Yes.
Are you something in that boat?
No,
You don't, what do you have turned up now?
I will stay on land.
Straight it out.
How did I get up? I know.
You did really good again.
They're like, is he have land? I was like, yeah. No. I know, I saw you, I was like, and then you're going around the, where's the place where you have the flag?
The judges stand will be, like for tomorrow, we'll be down there by the dock. Today we just have to like,
And then Jake and them are out there.
Jake and Logan over there.
Yeah, I saw Jake. And there was a flag, they waved at us, so I that thing really drew salt when you turned. I know, I saw it, and you were like, I was like, easy. And then I was like, go! Right in the middle of the turn, I used to like pinch it. That's what I did. At first, I was like, a whole lot of
We're
weight.
going to point you out towards the turn. All right? Get out
You cute. I need to take a picture. When I was coming in, the boat was like, I'm taking a picture. I figured out, if you let off, like when you let off throttle, it really doesn't slow down that much. When you let off a lot of throttle, it goes, yeah, you gotta like really.
I'm gonna get a lot of pictures of him.
Good.
Alright, here we go. Force starter. Yeah. About half throttle?
Jake said he had some stuff.
I got it.
Huh? What? Nothing.
Just try this.
I didn't know you were behind me.
As long as you can zip it up.
Oh, yeah, I bet her.
Not for 14-year-olds, it's not.
Yeah. Run black.
I'll wait till it's around.
Well, let's go. Laura, run black.
Red flag.
You can take it off.
See how they wrenches magically like line up? That's like magic.
Wait, missing a wrench?
I really like it.
That may be
that? Oh, there they are.
Right here.
Cool.
See some pictures of your dad?
Yep.
Cool.